He's King.
Game day.
What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? I was so pissed off I forgot our fucking intro. You're back on another episode of Chiefs Focus Live. Got Caleb, we got Quentin, we got the pissed off old man. I'm so fucking angry right now. And it's not because of Mahomes being sick. It's not because it's let's just you know what? Let's just get into it. How you guys feeling right now? Because right now I'm fucking sideways. And it has nothing to do with the fucking. It really, honestly, has absolutely zero to do with the players right now. Nothing. Some of the players, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. They are who they are. But the goddamn coaches should know this, and they don't know it. If you can't see the problems that are happening right now against the 32nd ranked defense in football, then you shouldn't be coaching this offense. It's that simple. It was atrocious. Every play call was terrible. There was no good play calls. There was no balance between the run and the pass. Nobody could get fucking open. Apparently Travis Kelce's got his head so far up Taylor Swift's ass that he can't play if she's not at the fucking game. And Matt Nagy's stuck in 2015. It's that simple. This ain't fucking Alex Smith. This is Patrick Mahomes. The man was sick. I get that part of it. I get the fact that we're allowed to lose a game here and there. But that was bullshit. The entire offensive play calling from start to finish was dog shit. Dog shit. Period. It was dog shit.
Any positives?
My TV, but the only positive that came out of this fucking game was the entire defense, with the exception of Snead having a couple of bad calls. The defense is top two all day long. Everybody else fucking sucks.
Okay,
you're getting a little okay.
Let's break this down a little bit. 2015 called and wants their Alex Smith offense back because I don't understand why. We were doing a lot of this, little check down screen stuff. And I do think part of it has to be, Mahomes being sick. There were a lot of times where, Kadarius Toney, there was one of those plays where it looked like Kadarius Toney was moved out into one of those like fake handoffs, right? And he continued to roll out and he was sitting at the line of scrimmage on the other side of the field and nobody was around him. And Mahomes instead threw it to, I believe, Sky Moore or Noah Gray over the middle of the field, and it got batted down. But you had Kadarius Toney wide open over on the other side of the field, and he works the best in space. So I do think that you're right. The play calling was just all over the place. When you have the weapons that you have, and it was just confusing to see. It didn't seem consistent. This was not like any of the offenses we had seen run all year. Just poor play calling and poor execution on that part. So yeah, I'm with you in terms of that. So
I have a question for you guys. Why are we still running the shovel pass? I mean, that's like
I don't
2012.
understand that either. That stupid ass lateral, the fucking most ignorant play on the planet that nobody does anymore. Nobody does that stupid lateral fucking screen pass to Toney that goes nowhere. Who does that?
It works in certain situations.
That? Alex Smith did that in 2015.
But they knew,
and it got 2 yards of fucking gain every time.
Well, it works in certain situations. That's what I will say.
But it doesn't work for us. Tony has not had one successful.
You never see. But listen,
like
listen, JP, it's okay, man. It's all right. I'm mad too. They don't. How do I say this? I knew there he was gonna get the ball because you never seen Toney line up in the backfield like that. He was bound to get the ball, or it was going to be a pass, or it was going to be a pass to him out of the backfield. So they knew to key on him. That's on Nagy.
That's my point. Fucking Girl Scouts would have read that play. Girl Scouts would have read that play.
Well,
everybody knew when Toney lined up where he did exactly where that ball was going. That was a stupid play call. But
Here's
there
the
was
other
many
thing.
of those. Many of them.
Here's the other thing too, is that I feel like there were a lot of times where Patrick Mahomes maybe last week would have ran for the first down.
Yeah, he couldn't this week.
But he didn't today. So we do, I know you have a positive from this game too. So why don't you give your specific positive?
Noah Gray. Noah Gray was a positive. Noah Gray played very well when he was on the field. When he was allowed to be on the field, he played well. I mean, the defense absolutely lights out. Those guys spent pretty much 45 minutes on the field out of the 60. In fact, we threw one pass in the third quarter. One pass in the third quarter. So that tells you how long the defense was out on the field. And they still continued to play their asses off.
In the thin air.
Correct. In the thin air. Now, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to calm myself down because I can feel my blood pressure right now. But Mahomes in that air, being sick with 102.8 temperature, is not going to be – nobody would be able to play well. Nobody would. Now, if we had anybody else besides Blaine fuck up Gabbert as a backup quarterback, then I would say, okay, Mahomes sit this one. But I understand when you know what you got right there, don't bring it back. Don't sit him, because Gabbert's no better. If it was me, I would still put Chris O above Gabbert. I don't care how much experience Gabbert has. There's a reason why he's played for 31 football teams, because he's not freaking good. And he's arrogant. But you can't do that if you can't take Mahomes out of a game when you don't have a reliable backup. And that's what we didn't have. We didn't have a reliable backup. Period. The defense, unbelievable. Unbelievable defense. There's a reason why they're ranked top 2. This is why today. 45 minutes on the field and still played their asses off. I mean, we even had a friggin' backup linebacker come in and play well. I'm just frustrated because I don't like the play calls. If you know, and you see it in the first half that this particular wide receiver is not doing well, pull his ass out and put someone else in. There's no point in leaving Sky Moore in the game when he can't catch a cold. Why leave him in the game? I understand you want to build up confidence, but at some point when you're playing a divisional game and it can cost you the 1 seed because of something stupid, and you want to play these little trick games, and let's put friggin' Tony off to the left, and I mean the entire defense schemed in on him. That was just dumb. It was a stupid ass play call. And Mahomes, you could see it on the sidelines. Mahomes was pissed. Well, he was yelling at Nagy on the sidelines.
So I see, yes, there's a lot of negative, and I agree with you, but you're saying your positive is what we saw specifically out of Watson, just him was the only one that really showed up. Okay, that's fair.
And by the way, did anybody notice that Justin Watson, the most reliable wide receiver on our team, without fail the most, and if anybody wants to argue that, you're stupid, because he is the most reliable wide receiver on our football team. With a brace on his elbow after what he went through 2 weeks ago, and is out there making stupid catches. Catches. MVS can't catch shit. He doesn't fight for anything. He gave up his third-year option in this game. He gave that up. Well, he's not coming back next year. That's for a fact. There's no way he's coming back.
Well, I mean, I do agree with you about Watson. That is, you're right about there. But let me go and get down to someone say, calm down, Jake. All right, I'm going to get down to my positives and negatives and positives. So when I look at this game, bless you, Quentin.
Bless you, man.
Bless you. I know the game.
I tried not to.
It all happened.
Have that catch on the.
Hey, man, we're professional around here. Sneeze all you
want. So when I'm looking at this game, and I'll make my thoughts, everything kind of brief and whatever. One thing I noticed is this. I like Brett Veach, but the drafting of the receivers has been a problem. The getting the wide receivers in free agency have been another problem. We need to stop getting these small receivers. We need to get someone like a George Pickens, someone that is not afraid to jump and catch the ball. I'm not saying MVS is bad, but he has not fought for the ball in the last 2 years. And I do agree with JP. This game does show a lot. Also, McCole Hardman has been in this league for 6 years, and there's a play where he's not running down the field trying to get the first down. There's a play literally on Twitter, and if I find it, I'll put it in the chat for you guys. But that literally happened as well. Sky Moore, the ball goes through his hands half the time. I understand they want these guys that are great route runners, but look, we need some playmakers, some dogs, as Deion Sanders has on his teams. Leaders and dogs, you need those. Because what we're seeing time after time after time, we expect Mahomes to do stuff, but that's not been able to work. Time after time after time, we have seen Mahomes have to be a back then run. Yes, did he have a cold? Yes. But between the play calling and our receiver core being inexperienced and had the audacity to say KT's number one receiver, I said during the summer, that is not going to work. Now, were the Chiefs probably looking ahead? I agree with you. Maybe they were looking ahead at this game, but I'll tell you this. This is why you shouldn't be running a vanilla-like offense all season. I know JP has fought me on this one, but this is the reason why. Maybe
no,
he's
I agree
around.
with you there.
Quentin, I don't know. He's maybe thinking, I can't wait to debunk Caleb's what he's thinking. But here's the issue, though. It comes a point in time where you need to put the right foot down and just push through. You can't just sit there and be lackadaisical. Do I think Matt Nagy is a bad coordinator? No. But this shovel pass we keep seeing to these guys are not going to work.
Oh, that's
it's just not.
Annoying.
And it's very frustrating, but I'll end with this before I go my positive. I would love the Chiefs to get a move at the deadline with a receiver, but there's no one left. So either they need to get on the bandwagon, get on the train and work with the Chiefs, or get off and bring in some people in. There's some guys out there that JP has talked to and who knows who can do well. Again, we could have maybe moved up in the draft to get George Pickens. At least he's a baller and is going out there and fight. Now to my positive. I have to give it to specifically Omenihu. Has showed up, stepped up, and done his thing each and every week. This defense, if they end up doing well in the playoffs, which I think they can win division and do well in the playoffs, but if they can have a deep run in the playoffs, he's going to have to step up, and specifically this defensive line, because right now the offensive play calling, all this stuff has struggled, and if they're not able to score points, it's not good. It reminded me of when the Chiefs go down to Tennessee and play, and all heck breaks loose. There has to be a give and take. There has to be a give and take. But seriously, the vanilla-like offense has to go away. That needs to be banned.
Absolutely.
Because that's catching them in trouble. Yes, it worked at home against Arrowhead, but look, you didn't play your game today. It happens. And yeah, Mahomes.
You should have known that too, Caleb, when you know your quarterback is sick. You're playing on the road and with no altitude, and then you go in there with this bland-ass offense.
But here's the thing. You have to take this and learn from it. I'd rather have the loss here than the playoffs. Now, maybe this is the wake-up call, but they're starting to look like the Chiefs team of old, of 2015, when they're losing. They're going about, like, say, 11-5, 12-4, but they're lost a couple games they should have had no business losing. So that's all I got to say. Quentin, you take it away.
Yeah, the wide receiver point, I think, goes further than just the wide receivers, because Patrick Mahomes was holding the ball a long time today, and he was under a ton of pressure for a lot of those times because nobody was getting open. It's crazy that Kansas City has this offensive line that can block a lot, and then there's still nobody getting open. A lot of the pressure that was put on Patrick Mahomes was coverage pressure. It wasn't, they coming up with these great blitzing schemes. They've got some great pass rushers. They've got a Nick Bosa or, one of the Watts out there. No, it was that nobody was able to get open. Mahomes is in the
backfield for 30 minutes waiting for somebody to get open. That's what
nobody was finding that open space. And so when it comes to close to the end of the game, we know that Patrick Mahomes is going to make some risky throws, and most of the time it works because Patrick Mahomes is a great player, and there are other good players around him that are able to step up and make plays. Today it didn't happen. This is sort of the reverse of coming back down to earth of what happens when great players don't make great plays.
Yep.
And I think that's what we saw today. I think the lack of superstar talent at the wide receiver position showed its full head today, in that you are not getting open and the offensive line cannot block for 7.5 minutes in order for somebody to find some open space, especially when Travis Kelce is getting double teamed.
Yes.
And
Preach it.
not only is he getting double teamed, but he also has a safety over the top. So essentially, he's getting triple teamed. So when a team comes out and says Travis Kelce is not going to beat us, figure it out. Kansas City today could not figure it out. That was the problem. I love the fact that you brought up the Tennessee game. I literally have the stats pulled up when we faced them, and we scored 3. It was 3-27 in that game. If you look at the stats compared to that game, it is insane how similar these two games were. Derrick Henry had 86 yards on the ground. Today, against the number 1 Broncos running back, they gave up 85 yards. If you look at the turnovers, that's another thing that I want to get to. Kansas City fumbled the ball 3 times against the Titans that day, and Patrick Mahomes threw an interception. Today, they fumbled the ball 3 times, and Patrick Mahomes threw 2 interceptions. So there was a lot of similarities between these two games. Now, remember, they won the Super Bowl, or they made it to the Super Bowl that year. So, that's still there, right? This doesn't end your season. But damn, does this...
It bites. It hurts.
It's a pull your head out of your ass and figure out what you're going to do, because that plane needs to be quiet on the way back. That locker room needs to be quiet. And when you go on Monday, people better be getting roasted by the coaching staff for MVS's lack of coming back and catching the ball.
And his lack of intensity. I mean, he didn't even try. It was like he wasn't even trying, dude. I mean, when the ball got to him, even on that one where it was on the right hash mark, he didn't even really fight for that ball. And that annoys the shit out of me. He didn't fight for that ball. He just let it go. And it's like, damn, man, where are you at? What's in your mind?
I just felt like this let that ball slip. Just didn't seem focused. And I'm not going to come out. It's not my place to come out and call out, especially after one game about specific players. But I just feel like the team wasn't focused. And I don't really necessarily believe in trap games, especially when they're against divisional opponents. But you laid an egg today. This is the worst loss you've had in 2 years. This is arguably the worst loss you've had
since the 2020 Super Bowl
has been, here. Because the Denver Broncos are a shit football team.
That's the difference. That's the only difference. Yeah, that's the only difference.
You had a chance.
And you're right. Todd does need a wake-up call.
We need a opportunity to come up and redraw some stuff. You going up against Miami Dolphins. If you struggle to cover sideline to sideline against Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton, then it's going to be worse when you head to Germany next week. So you need to figure it out. Okay, you need to get your heads back in the room and figure it out, because it's not getting easier next week. But let's talk about some of the positives here, because I do think despite all of the dysfunction that was the offense today and the special teams with the McCole Hartman fumble, this Chiefs defense got after it. They ended the day with 6 sacks, 7 tackles for loss.
Yep.
Without Nick Bolton playing today, Drew Tranquill and Leo Chenal both stepped up. Willie Gay went out. So you had your 3rd and 4th linebackers out there. Both of those guys led the team in tackles. George Karlaftis had 2.5 sacks,
play today,
including that extra effort, extra motor, sack fumble. Justin Reed had a blocked field goal.
Yes.
I mean, you can say a lot about the poor quality of play that this offense had. I know this defense just gave up 24 points, but that was an insane effort by the defense. They did not give up. They continued to fight, and that defense is going to continue to win this Chiefs football games, especially if Kansas City's offense continues to spin its wheels like that. So I'm going to give all of the credit to this defense, because there were players that, Trent McDuffie, he had that tackle behind the line of scrimmage on that running back. He shot around the outside like a defensive edge and tackled the running back. This was a great. I know they gave up 24 points, and if you just see the box score, you're not going to understand how well this defense played, because the offense put them in so many bad situations today.
That's the difference.
That there was no way that this defense wasn't going to give up a ton of points, because the offense let this team down, and
you gave Denver so many. the offense gave Denver so much great field position.
Russell Wilson had 114 passing yards on the day. They had 3 touchdowns, and he passed the ball 114 times. They ran for 153 yards. Despite the fact they gave up 24 points, they kept the team under 300 total yards.
Exactly. We actually had more passing yards, more total yards than the Broncos did. That's what kind of it irked me a little bit. When you're looking at the stats and you're going, okay, wait a minute, we're leading in yards through the air, yards on the ground, pretty much every other stat except for the fact that we had no red zone wide receivers today. None. When we were in the red zone, we couldn't score. When you got wide receivers out there that are turning around and running before the ball is even in their hands, that's an issue. Here's my problem, and the only problem that I think that I really have, the main problem that I have today, was the fact that when you go into halftime, you make adjustments based upon what you see in the first half. They didn't make the adjustments on offense and put the right players in the right position for anyone to succeed. You have other players, you have other wide receivers on this team that may have done well against those particular defensive players.
Here's
but
my
they
question.
Didn't do that.
Here's my question for you guys. Do we see you now where I was coming from during the offseason about the wide receiver help and how we need to get someone regardless of money? You guys kind of see where I'm coming from?
No, I get it. And that's why I was sort of skeptical about getting McCole Hardman back, because I was like, well, how is he different from the other guys on the roster? I mean, I'm excited to bring him back because I was enthusiastic about bringing McCole Hardman back because I was like, okay, this is a guy that knows the system. Maybe he can make a difference. And the biggest reason I was excited is because I thought that meant that Rashee Rice was going to have a bigger role on the outside. My excitement for getting McCole Hardman back in the system was not that it's McCole Hardman coming back in the system. It means that maybe Rice can take a step out of that role and McCole Hardman can do McCole Hardman things. And Rashee
Which
Rice
they haven't even
out.
given him the opportunity to do, though. Quentin. And they've not changed anything. And if you really look at it today, McCole Hardman wasn't on the field a whole lot as far as the wide receiver role is concerned.
Look, the only way I can describe this game is it's an embarrassment, and Kansas City needs to figure some stuff out within the next week. Otherwise, the Chiefs are going to get the doors blown off of them when they head to Germany.
Should they make a move at the wide receiver position?
I just don't know what you can do.
That's what I'm saying. There's no one unless they throw the moon at the Titans.
Arizona's Marquise Brown, right?
But the thing is, he's another small receiver. We need a big body receiver that can go up and catch the ball. That's what the Chiefs have really ignored for the last couple of years in getting someone like that. They have really ignored getting someone like they keep getting these small, speedy guys.
I just don't know. I don't know what your realistically. Like, I just don't know what your options are. Even if you just say, like, I'm willing to give up, a ton of draft assets to go get a guy. Who's out there?
You're not really. What's it going to help you, right? And really, who's out there?
Well,
I
will tell you now. If we get D-Hop, he's going to fight for the ball. He's not going to do the MVS and go.
Well, he will fight for the ball.
That's what we need, though. Seriously, I understand we want these guys like Sky Moore and others who are not bad players, but here's the issue. We need someone that can go pinpoint the ball. MVS sometimes runs around like he's lackadaisical. And I'm not hating, but it's like, come on, man. I know you can play so much better than this. We know you can, but it's just been the consistency of not seeing much. Like you said, there's a chance he doesn't come back, but I believe the Chiefs have to make a move. Not this time around because it's kind of too late, but they got to make some move in the wide receiver market, and maybe that's something we're going to see the Chiefs fix. But the opportunity to win the Super Bowl this year when the AFC is not at the top of your game is not looking likely if you put a half performance just like this. You can kiss those chances goodbye. They're going to melt away with the snow.
What this just said is 100% correct. And he says, I just feel like the coaching staff expects Mahomes to be the man even when he's sick, and that's wrong. He's right. That is wrong. You can't expect him to go out there and do everything that he does on a weekly basis when he's sick as a dog. You can't expect that. And if your coaching staff is putting you in a position to fail, which is what they did today, because they expected him to do his normal scramble, run, do all the stuff that he does, run for the first down, he was not feeling up to even being on the field for the most part. But he went out there and he did it. The coaches should have made adjustments. I'm sorry, but that, in my opinion, this was a coach's loss as much as it was a player loss because the coaches are not doing anything to make adjustments for situations just like this. And if you can't figure that out, then I don't know what to tell you. But Andy should have taken over the play calls. If this was going to continue past the first half, Andy should have taken over the play calls and moved forward. And he didn't do that.
But then when you're in that situation, have you said the last couple of years he has to call a certain number of calls? So,
okay, but he's been calling every game pretty much all season. When you're struggling, it's time to say, hey, let's do this. Hey, let's do that. Let's put this guy in this position. But they didn't do that. So, and I understand why Justin Watson wasn't out there more. I mean, I get it. He was hurt. But when he was out there, geez.
Yeah, let's go and do our last thoughts. And
my last thought is that I don't care what the play call is if your wide receivers can't get open. So I'll defend the coaching staff at least a little bit there. Is that if your wide receivers can't get open, then it doesn't matter what I call because they're never going to break coverage.
Okay, but what if you bring in different wide receivers off the sidelines and quit going to the same guys over and over and over again? I mean, you got McCole Hardman that you could have been. The guy can play 90% of the snaps. Put him out there.
I mean, I guess, but
I'm just saying, make adjustments.
None of these wide receivers could get open. I mean, and it can't be the Mahomes-Kelsey show all day.
Oh, but you know what though? In the first half, I don't know if you guys noticed, and I can go back and because I'll pull it up on all 22. There was numerous times there was guys open, especially in that first quarter, and Mahomes never saw them.
Yeah, and I think they were doing a ton of checkdowns and runs early, and
correct.
It wasn't a good play call. It wasn't good play calling, but on the other hand, too, when they were there, when the throws were there, like when I was talking about that Tony play, he was wide open outside on the line of scrimmage. I mean, he had 15 yards to himself. Mahomes didn't throw it, and then when there wasn't a play to be made downfield, he wasn't running for it, and guys. When he had a clean pocket to try and throw it, guys weren't getting open. So this isn't just it wasn't like this specific one thing is why Kansas City lost. It's the Patrick Mahomes wasn't making the plays. He both running for first downs and throwing to guys that were open. He just missed them. And then when he had a clean pocket, guys weren't getting open. And I'm sorry, but I don't care if you're fucking the best left tackle in the world. You're not blocking an NFL lineman, even a mediocre one, for 90 seconds. It's not happening.
No, you're not. You're not. I agree with that. 100% agree with that.
All of the above. It's everything.
It is. There were so many mistakes, and I still have yet to figure out why Jerick McKinnon is not in the game more. He's one of the best scat backs in football, and yet he's not out there, playing the normal role that he played last year that got him, an NFL record. I don't know why. I mean, you're talking about we're in week 8, and he has yet to see the action that he saw. He's yet to see 35% of the action that he saw last year. When you know that you're struggling with the guys that you have, the reliable guys that you brought in from last year and the year before, bring them back in. That's all I'm saying.
So what are your final thoughts real quick on all this game?
I think it's just a huge wake-up call. I really do. I think this is going to be a giant wake-up call for the offense. The defense, keep doing what you're doing. You guys,
100%.
Look, man, 100%. Do what you got to do. But this is a giant wake-up call for the offense. And the coaching staff. I'm sorry. I'm not going to leave them out because they're just as much at fault. But they have to be able to scheme up against these teams, regardless if you think you're so much better than them or not. There's always a chance. Just like today, there's always a chance that you may just not be able to score a fucking touchdown. And that's where we were at. 3 field goals on the day. Hey, here's another positive. Harrison Butker has not missed a field goal this season. Has not missed a field goal. And he's 3 for 3 on 50+.
Yep.
That's a great thing.
That is.
But that doesn't win you games. Okay, I'm sorry, but it just doesn't win you games. When you're giving up the ball, it doesn't win. It doesn't win games. But I think they need to make adjustments with the guys that have been very reliable and have done it in the past, switch it up a little bit. Switch it up between, get Sky Moore out of the game, put Tony in. Look, and Thiz brought up a great point during the live cast. If you did a triple set to the right with McCole, Tony, and MVS, or McCole, Tony, and Rice, and then you put Travis Kelce and Noah Gray on the opposite side, who are you going to stop? Did we see that today?
And that's one thing I'll say for my final thought before we end it is just they got to figure out. You have to change things. You can't do the same stuff over and over and over and over again. And if you continue to do that, teams going to catch on. Team like the Broncos will get you. Again, as off my final thoughts before we end it, I'd rather have this loss now than in the playoffs. This is a wide open AFC where there's really not any huge challenger. So teams are going to see this and come after Chiefs. But that's all I have to say. I'm done.
Yeah. What about you, Quentin? What's your final thoughts?
I mean, maybe don't fumble the ball on a punt return. And and wide receivers have got to get open. I think that's been a problem all year. We talked about it we've talked about it even in wins, right? Where it was just like everything seemed hard. It's not
very difficult for the offense, yeah.
And it's in the past, getting yards down the field, getting touchdowns in the red zone was easy. It was like, oh shit, we're on the 15. When that happened, we were on the 35, the other 35 like 2 plays ago, and now we're on the 15. And now, we got these long drives and, one drop pass and we're set so far back. Yeah. And a lot of it is it just seems that guys are trying to, make 9-point plays and it just doesn't exist. So get open, catch the ball. I think there's just some fundamental football stuff that Kansas City just needs to go back to the drawing board on.
Yeah, they've got to get back to the basics as far as that's concerned, and they have to get out of their vanilla shell. They just have to. It works fine for a while, but then when you get completely embarrassed like this, offensively embarrassed, then it's time to really read what you have in the room, and make a decision from there. But fucking around like that, and all the experimental bullshit with this crap that they did it twice today with this weird shit. And I don't understand it. Just play the fucking game. Let the wide receivers go out there and play the game. If the wide receivers aren't working, switch up the packages. Do something to make it easier on Mahomes, because he is not the only guy on the fucking field. And you can't expect him to go out there with almost 103 temperature, being on an IV all weekend long, and perform like he does every other week. It just doesn't happen. So that's my frustration with this. Watching this game, I was mind blown that they didn't change anything up at all, other than Noah Gray. Noah Gray was the change up in the second half of the game. That was it. Noah Gray in the fourth quarter. That's all you can come up with? I mean, you're fucking Andy Reid. You got a playbook that would fill up my friggin' office, and you can't come up with something different besides that? Expecting Mahomes just to be, somehow miraculously not have the flu? Because he's got it. So that's a wake-up call. This day was a wake-up call. I am nowhere near like in panic mode, because I know how this team operates. I know what they do. I know how Andy can take over a playbook and destroy teams. And I see this happening, especially with a great defense like that we have. But today just pissed me off because they put way too much burden on Mahomes' shoulders. That's in my opinion. Mm-hmm. They put way too much burden on him. And the defense, for that matter. Mm-hmm. I mean, look, man, Chris Jones could barely breathe. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but he was on a knee in the third quarter. He looked like my husky that just ran 6 miles straight in 100-degree temperature. He couldn't breathe. You can't put that much pressure on people. You just can't. And that's what they did. And that's on the coaching, in my opinion, because you can change that up. You can fix those issues. You just have to actually make the decision to make those changes, and they didn't do that. So yeah, am I frustrated? Oh, I'm fucking frustrated. That's an embarrassing loss. It was Denver's Super Bowl, like the Raiders had their Super Bowl a few years back, but it's the whole point that it shouldn't have happened. I mean, dude, we just manhandled the Chargers. Manhandled the Chargers. And I'm at a loss for
Well,
words.
we'll be able to continue it. We'll have cooler heads prevail on Tuesday. Cooler
Probably
heads will
so.
prevail.
Probably so. I'm gonna go take a sedative.
We'll have a happier
anyway.
show on Tuesday, so make sure you come.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We're gonna have fun. With that being said, I guess don't worry about it. As long as they make the changes, everything should be good. We still got the best defense. I'm sorry, but this is the best defense I've seen since the 90s. It really is. And I've been around a long time. And this is the best defense I've seen since, sorry, but the Derek Thomas days. I don't know if we've had a better defense since then. And I don't think we have. Mm-hmm. I mean, I love Tamba, great guy. I love that group of guys, but this defense here is different. They're just different. So, with that being said, we got a lot of good things to look forward to. We just have to fix the things that are broken. And right now there's some broken things. So, anyway, we will talk to you guys again on Tuesday. Appreciate everybody for joining. Peace out.